welcome to the Predators official podcast here on ESPN 1025 The Game, streaming on YouTube. I'm Brooks Bratten of NashvillePredators.com, here with my friends Max Herz of Preds Radio and Kara Hammer from Preds TV, here with you for a jam-packed episode. Guys, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of good stuff happening on the ice, off the ice. Roman Josi, the show might as well be dedicated to him, except Juuse Saros is also involved. Max has a really great chat with the Juice coming up. And some good things happening on the ice for the Predators, and Roman Josi, again, about to hit one heck of a milestone. We will get to all of it. And Max, Kara, good to be with you, as always. Looking forward to another week ahead here.
Nice to see you, Brooks. And as you talk about on the ice and off the ice, we can also just actually talk about ice, because here in Nashville, we are embracing for what could be an apocalyptic winter storm. We don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We could spend a whole episode talking about that. We won't, because Max told us short shifts, 30 seconds and out. But yeah, it's going to be a heck of a time these next few days. So we'll see what happens. Who knows where we'll be coming to you from next week. We may all be in an igloo in our respective backyards.
PSA, if you don't know how to drive in the snow and you live in Nashville and you've never lived anywhere else, do not drive in the snow, because you're going to crash into someone who does know what they're doing. So don't try. Tweet at Brooks. He will come pick you up and drive you to the game on Saturday free of charge.
Don't assume that your four-wheel drive can go 80 miles an hour down I-40. It doesn't work.
Every car has four wheels. It doesn't make a difference, I promise.
You know who probably is good, though, at driving in the snow is Roman Josi. I bet he is.
Me. And me.
And Kara Hammer.
And
She's from
Kara.
out west. She's from the Rockies. Well, hey, the Preds, let's get into it. So 7 goals against the Colorado Avalanche on Friday night as they started that 2-game trip. It was Colorado's first home regulation loss of the season. 3 assists from Roman Josi. Get used to hearing his name. We told you we're going to talk a lot about him. And in part of that effort, Josi was named the NHL's second star of the week. So wins over the Capitals, the Oilers, and the Avalanche all over that past week. Roman had at least 2 points in each of Nashville's last 4 outings headed into this week as we record on Wednesday, January 21st. But he tallied twice against Edmonton last Tuesday, including the overtime winner. This is kind of a cool stat. He's just the 6th blue liner in NHL history with at least 10 career overtime goals, 7 points in 3 games last week. What more can we say about the captain and the way that he's playing right now?
3 straight multi-point games. That ain't bad for Josi, really starting to hit his stride, and it's so cool. He's about to play his 1,000th game on Thursday, the first Pred to ever do that, all with the Predators. And he's playing the best hockey we've seen from him in years. And look, 1,000 games was never assured because of all the health issues he's had, especially the last 2 seasons. So what a moment we're peaking at right now for Josi to be playing his best and hitting the big round number, Kara.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch the captain, and you hit on it, Max. I felt like you were more superstitious than anybody about talking about game number 1,000, which will be coming up this week for Roman. But guys, let's go back to that Colorado game, because the Preds came out. The Avalanche had never lost in regulation at Ball Arena, and the Preds went in and did something we haven't seen all season.
Yeah, it was a really great showing. And that's, we talk about the belief that they've discussed in the Nashville locker room. And, you ask, okay, great. You beat X team, Y team, whoever it is. And no game is an easy game in the NHL. But to go into Colorado, as you said, Kara, a team that had not lost at home in regulation at all this season, and to have the kind of effort that the Predators did to put up 7 goals on the Avalanche, the belief only strengthens in a room because of an effort like that. And, I don't want to harp on the losses to Vegas and Buffalo that followed, but this is a test right now for Nashville. Those 2 losses, the first consecutive losses that they've had since before Thanksgiving. That's a heck of a run that the Preds have been on, bouncing back from a loss. They were unable to do it this time, but you go back to the game in Colorado and it shows you what this team is capable of. When they play to their identity and the way that they're capable of playing, they have the ability to beat any team in the NHL on any given night. They know that. And I think that's something that Philip Forsberg said after the Buffalo loss too. Yeah, we lost that game in the first period, but the second half of the game shows you that we know we're a great team and we know what we're capable of when we play to our potential. That's a lesson they're going to have to learn moving forward. But the Colorado game, again, a great showing as to what this team is capable of doing.
Was a Ryan O'Reilly game to a T, and he just played his 1,200th NHL game this week in season 17. And look, there may not have been many or any regular season games where he was as good as he was Friday night in the win against his first NHL team, the Avalanche. A hat trick. He's had a hat trick in all 3 seasons he's played for the Preds. All of a sudden, in just 2.5 seasons, he's tied for the 3rd most hat tricks in franchise history with 3, behind Philip Forsberg and Steve Sullivan. That's pretty good. 3 goals, ties his career high. 4 points, ties his career high. 15-3 on faceoffs, one of his best faceoff games ever, and all while going up against Nathan McKinnon's line and shutting down the best player in the NHL right now with Luke Evangelista and Philip Forsberg on his wings. I mean, it doesn't get any better from Mr. Uncle Factor, Ryan O'Reilly. What a game from him in every facet, Kara.
Yeah, and you talk about how well he played in Colorado with the hat trick, but even last night, as we record here on Wednesday afternoon, so Tuesday night against the Buffalo Sabres, the Preds find themselves in a 4-goal hole. How about Ryan O'Reilly? He was able to score in the second period. He was like a dog on a bone out there, guys. I mean, he single-handedly put the team on his back, was able to get on the board and kind of jumpstart this pushback that they had to bring the game within 1 goal in the 3rd period.
Well, and it's fair to say, like, where would this team be without Ryan O'Reilly right now? He continues to lead the team in scoring. Rather, he's been there for at least a few weeks at the top of the scoring race, and as far as the Preds are concerned, and yeah, you can look at the goals and it's easy to recognize that when he's on the scoreboard, but the things that he brings, even when he's not putting the puck in the net, and he's hard on himself, and we've heard that a time or two this season as well, but he has consistently been one of Nashville's best players all season long. And there's a reason he plays where he does in the lineup. There's a reason why he wears an A on his sweater. And you really see, and I think you really start to appreciate in a stretch like this, your best players have to be your best players. And Ryan O'Reilly has certainly lived up to that. He's a huge reason why the Preds are still in the thick of this and flirting with a wild card spot. And they're going to need more from him. And I think he's up to that challenge, right? He seems to get better every night, which is so impressive. I don't want to call him old. We're all around kind of the same age too, but to do what he's doing this consistently at his age in the NHL, it's really remarkable. It's really impressive. And again, I think you can make the argument that without Ryan O'Reilly, the Preds would not be anywhere near where they are right now in the standings.
Yeah, and if you ever have the chance, watch some of his facial expressions. I mean, we're able to see it because we're up close, but if you're sitting at home and watching, you almost see it's a shift come over his face where he looks angry out there. And we saw it. I mean, last night at the end of that game, the frustration to close it out. He was dropping the gloves. We don't often see that from Ryan O'Reilly, but you could see the frustration, the anger, how badly and how determined they are to find ways to win.
Uh, I saw both sides of that this week, Kara. I'm so glad you brought that up because I hadn't been thinking about it this way. But first, the happy Ryan O'Reilly after his hat trick, the big missing tooth smile.
Yeah.
And Hal and I were on the radio during that game Friday night in Denver. And I was just like, look, we've analyzed these goals enough. Hal, you got to love the Ryan O'Reilly gap tooth smile. And Hal just immediately goes, oh, he looks just like Peter Puck, which got me so good. The old mascot from Hockey Night in Canada with the missing tooth in the exact same spot. So it's like when he's at his happiest, you're looking right back through and the tooth is popping out. And he would love to take the fake tooth out for you guys anytime you see him with it in to put it on. And then the opposite, the Preds practiced on Monday at Centennial Sportsplex. Ryan O'Reilly's dad was in town and he walks into practice. Mr. O'Reilly does. And as soon as he gets there, his 34-year-old son tomahawk breaks his stick over the goal in frustration because he got beat in a one-on-one drill. So I know our hockey parents out there can empathize with that. you roll up to practice. The moment you get there, your kid starts, as Lindsay Rowley would say, taking a fit. So that's both sides of the Ryan O'Reilly happy, sad, win at all costs experience. And that's why we love him.
We love him.
Whatever it takes to win, right? That's all you get from him. You know what you're going to get night after night, and he's a big reason why the Preds are where they are. So as we mentioned, a loss in Vegas, a loss against Buffalo, but looking forward to seeing how they bounce back the rest of this homestand. So Ottawa on Thursday, which will be, as we said, Roman Josi's 1,000th NHL game, and then Utah on Saturday with the impending snowstorm. But the Preds plan to honor Josi during that game as well, and then they'll head out on the road next week for another tough road trip. They're all tough at this point. But just a few more games to go before the Olympic break, just a couple of weeks out. So points are at a premium right now. And the Preds, again, it'll be a challenge, and looking forward to seeing how they respond in these next two after they've lost consecutive games for the first time in a long time. We told you we were going to talk a lot about Roman Josi, more from him coming up. But then Juuse Saros. Max, you had a chance to sit down with our favorite goaltender, did you not?
He's tied for my favorite goaltender with Justus Annunen and Chris Mason. So
Of
it's a
course.
three-way tie. But yeah, I'm looking forward to you guys getting to hear from Juuse coming up next. You both ditched me on this interview, which I won't hold against you. So I got Juuse all to myself, and we got to ask a ton of questions about the Olympics. So I hope you enjoyed that interview with Juuse Saros. Coming up next here on the Predators official podcast. My name is Max Herz with Kara Hammer from Preds TV, Brooks Bratten from NashvillePredators.com. This is the POP on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to the Predators official podcast here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and Nashville Predators YouTube. My name is Max Herz, joined by Preds goalie Juuse Saros for our interview this week ahead of the Olympics, where he will be one of the goalies for Team Finland. Juuse, thanks so much for joining us.
Yep, thank you.
What is the build-up like to you playing an NHL game every other day and being less than a month away from your first game in the Olympics?
Yeah, obviously you focus on these games right now, and we're really trying to make a good push here. So, but yeah, at the same time, like days between the games, sometimes you kind of look ahead of that too now that it gets closer.
Is there extra preparation that goes on, whether it's conversations with your coaches, logistics, or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, some phone calls to the coaches in the national team, and obviously just keep in touch with the good manager about all the gear and all that kind of stuff.
Is the gear coming soon for you to start breaking in?
Yeah, I think it should be here like this week, so hopefully.
What went into your thoughts for your colors and your designs on your mask and on your pads?
The mask is kind of similar to what I had last year with the national team. The lion head in the middle and a skyline of Helsinki, and then the logo, like jersey logo on the side. So I like that design a lot. So I went pretty much kind of like a similar, but just a couple little tweaks there.
You and I have talked previously about the coaches for the Finnish national team, and it's not the same as Team US and Team Canada, where it's NHL coaches who are coming together to coach these teams. It's coaches who coach at different levels and coach the senior national team in lots of different tournaments throughout the year. Can you tell us and our fans, please, about who those coaches are, what your relationship is like with them, and how long you've known all of those people?
Yeah, it's a little different than like you said, US and Canada. All the European national teams, they have the head coach is only the head coach for the national team, so that's his only thing. And they had tournaments throughout the year too, and obviously they're scouting throughout the year on all the players. Usually the assistant coaches, they have they coach in some other teams during the year too, but usually the head coach is just within his main focus is only with the national team. But yeah, obviously I played in the World Championships last spring, and it was pretty much all the same staff there. So yeah, they're all familiar faces. And actually, the goalie coach of the team used to be our goalie coach for the under 18, under 17, under 18, like the junior national team. So I go way back with him, and he's also a childhood friend of Peck's. So it's a small world.
Nice. Hey, anytime we can get Pekka in there, we're happy. Talking with Juuse Saros before. He represents Team Finland at the Olympics coming up next month. It's a ton of players that you know. A team of almost entirely NHLers will be representing Finland at the Olympics. Who are the teammates that you're closest with? There are a lot of guys who are very similar in age to you on the team. Who are the guys that you've known the longest? Who are the guys that you've come to know well in the NHL?
Yeah, a lot of guys that you play out ever since you're growing up, either with with the national team, junior national team, or play against. A lot of guys go way back. So I gotta say, Eli Tolvanen is the closest guy to me. We were the roommates in the World Championships in May, and we already got the call that we get to be roommates in Milan. Really looking forward to that.
Nice. Okay, good. I was going to ask who your roommate was, but you already know. That's impressive.
Yeah.
And you'll be reunited with your former Preds goalie tandem mate, Kevin Lankinen. You and him have known each other for more than half of your lives. The other 1995 birth year on the team is Arturi Lehkonen. What's it like being with those guys who you've played with at so many levels to now get to play as Olympians together?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like you said, we know those guys from a long time and played with each other for a long time. So it's kind of special to kind of share like a similar route throughout our careers and get to reunite in this stage as well.
And you will have a Preds teammate as your Olympic teammate. Erik Haula will also be making his Olympic debut for Finland. How happy are you for him to be able to be a part of the team? And what's it been like getting to know him more closely this season as a teammate for the second time around?
Yeah, obviously that was really cool that he's played a long career in the NHL, but since the NHL players haven't been part of the Olympics, so he's kind of missed that chance to play. So obviously, really happy for him that he got the call as well, and he's been a big part of our team this year. So not really surprised that he made the team. I think he's been a really great player for us. Can play kind of every role you put him in there. So yeah, it's awesome.
You guys have both told us on Preds radio that you found out at unique times that you were going to the Olympics. Haula got the call on Christmas morning from Finnish head coach Antti Pennanen, and he said he was nervous, but then he realized that he wouldn't be getting the call on Christmas morning if they were telling him that he wasn't making the team. So he was confident at that point. And you told us a couple weeks ago, you found out over the summer as part of the first 6 players announced, you got a text from Coach Pennanen while you were sitting at the Roland Garros tennis final. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty special. Yeah, we were watching the final, obviously, one of the greatest tennis matches ever going on. And me and my wife were there and got the text, which made it even sweeter. Yeah, it was a pretty cool memory.
So you're sitting in Paris watching Alcaraz Sinner at Roland Garros. You find out you're going to be in the Olympics in Milan, 2 of the premier sporting events in the world, 2 of the greatest cities in the world. Have you been to Milan much before? Have you spent a lot of time in Italy?
Yeah, went to Milan a couple years ago, so for a few days, so got to kind of see the city a little bit there, and yeah, obviously that's a really cool place to have that event.
And Fedor Svechkov wanted us to ask you, are you going to be able to go shoe shopping and get some designer shoes while you're in Milan?
Maybe I gotta pop into some of the stores if I got some spare time.
I feel like you might. Looking at the schedule, as we talked to Juuse Saros before the Olympics, your guys' 3 games in your group are Slovakia, starting in the first game on Wednesday, February 11th, then a day off before the big game, probably the biggest game in the preliminaries in all of the men's hockey tournament, Finland versus Sweden on Friday, February 13th. Then you take on the host country, Italy, on Saturday, February 14th. What do you think about that schedule? And obviously that game against Sweden will be one of the biggest, I would say. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, you got to take it one game at a time. The first game, really important as well. Slovakia has a great team, and they're always battling hard as a team, and they got great individuals as well. So, but yeah, then the second game, obviously, big rivalry. So that's a cool game for sure.
what levels have you played in a Finland versus Sweden game? What tournaments have you played in that rivalry game before? And what is that like that's different from other rivalries?
Yeah, the history goes way back. It's always been kind of big brother, little brother kind of mentality. And the latest one was last spring in Stockholm, played against Finland, Sweden in our group stage. And yeah, that was my latest one. And obviously, best memory I got of those games when we had the World Juniors final in Sweden. And happy, obviously, we got the win on that one. So yeah, those two games come out of my mind first.
Who's the big brother and who's the little brother?
Well, it's the little brother been kind of always been thing as in Finland. Yeah, that's kind of how it's been seen. But over the years, I feel like it's kind of evened out a little bit.
That's good. And you've been in a lot of those. Talking to Juuse Saros before the Olympics, where he will represent Team Finland. Do you have friends who have been Olympians in other sports or athletes you've gotten to know, or any who will be there this time around that you've gotten to know from either Finland or other nations?
Gotta think. Not exactly sure. I gotta look into that more. I haven't really thought about it yet, but obviously all the hockey guys. But I gotta think if there's someone else in other sports.
Who from your family will be going to support you?
I got my parents and wife's parents, obviously my wife, and then a bunch of friends as well. So that's great.
Awesome. And maybe the most important question for the Saros family about who's going: is there pet care provided in the Olympic Village for you to bring the dogs to the Olympics?
Yeah, I wish, but they're gonna be watching here in Nashville, and but yeah, that would be awesome.
Hey, well, we'll be watching with them. Juuse, thanks so much for doing this. We will be watching and rooting for Finland, maybe even against Sweden and Philip Forsberg. We might have split allegiances that day, but hey, maybe little brother will get it done. Thanks, Juuse.
Yeah, thank you.
That is Predators goalie Juuse Saros, who will be in net for Team Finland when they play in the Olympics starting on February 11th in Milan, Italy. More of the Predators official podcast coming up next here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Welcome back to the Predators official podcast here on ESPN 1025 The Game. We are also on the Nashville Predators YouTube page if you'd like to watch us in video form. And as always, your favorite podcast platforms. My name is Max Herz from Preds Radio, along with Kara Hammer from Preds TV and Brooks Bratten from NashvillePredators.com and the world-famous Brooks Bites Instagram account that I have blocked. All right, guys, you ditched me in my interview with Juuse Saros, which is fine. I'm not mad. What'd you think?
It was great. I think I loved, learning that he's going to be roommates again with former Nashville Predator Ellie Tolvanen. So that's exciting for Saros. But I got to talk about the gear because I did this in the Buffalo game. Was one of my hits when Saros was talking about his mask, that it was going to be similar to the mask we saw at the Four Nations where he had the Helsinki skyline. But the fact that the Olympics are less than a month out and his equipment is just now arriving, he said, some point this week. So hopefully it gets here with the snowstorm. But Chris Mason and I were having this conversation about how important it is for these goaltenders to get the gear, have a chance to try it on, just so you're comfortable with it. So it might, we have to have a follow-up with Saros to see, how late could he wait in trying on the gear so that he's comfortable with it when he does go to Milan.
He does, Kara, have one stick, at least one, and probably more in storage in Finland colors that I've seen.
All right. One stick. He's ready.
Well, yeah, we definitely saw a little bit of it last year, too, when he went to the Four Nations face-off with Finland as well, just breaking stuff in. It's always cool to see it, right? Like, people eat that stuff up when a goalie breaks out new pads or a new mask at practice, and that'll be cool to see. I mean, I've just loved being able to hear from these guys. You go back to our interview with Kevin Morley and asking him to put into words what this means, and he's like, I've got a lot of words, but it's hard to do in this situation. And just the ability for these guys to do it at the Olympics, the amount of pride that they have to represent their country. And for a lot of these guys, they've never had this opportunity before. They've been waiting their entire careers just to have the chance to play at the Olympic Games. And it's just always good to hear from Juice too. Like he's a little more soft spoken than some other guys, and you don't always get the most out of him when you're in the locker room with a bunch of people and a bunch of cameras. And I just love anytime you get the chance to get him in a one-on-one situation and have a chat with him. It's always really great.
We did have some fans ask on Twitter. I tweeted out that Saros was very excited to be rooming with Ellie Tolvanen, which I agree with you, Kara. I thought was seeing him light up like that is so great. And I had people ask, like, do they pick their roommates? What is it like in the Olympic Village? So I went back to Juuse Saros after the interview, and I asked him, which I had already been planning to do. So thanks to our fans for really putting us in high gear there. So last year in the spring at the World Championships, the Finnish coaches asked Saros if he wanted his own room
Ooh.
because he's the number one goalie, and the number one goalie can have his own room if he wants it. And Saros said, no, I would rather room with Ellie Tolvanen than have my own room. And as this conversation was happening, Juuse Saros was right next to us, and Big Juice interjects and says, yeah, he said he wasn't going to the Olympics if he couldn't room with Tolvi. So he might be the only guy who gets to pick his roommate in the Olympic Village. Other than that, the coaches pair it.
That's impressive. Good for him though too. Like you talk about being the number one goalie, and we've seen it. A lot of goalies, and Pekka Rinne was never like this. Juice isn't like this, but there's a lot of goalies around the league, especially on a game day, who they won't talk in the morning. They don't want to be bothered. They don't even want you to look at them. They're in the zone. They're in their head. And I love that the Finns are just easygoing, laid back, and the fact that Juice is like, yeah, I don't want to go by myself. I want to hang out with Tolvi. You got to love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our goalies are normal people, which many of them aren't, but ours are.
We have
good
normal
for them.
goalies.
Yeah, okay, congrats on being normies. Really happy for you guys. All right, the big story of the week here in Smashville. We've got a major milestone coming up Thursday night. Roman Josi will become the first Pred ever to play 1,000 games, all for the Nashville Predators. Brooks, you have been talking to former and current teammates of his all week to get their perspective on the milestone, and you've gotten some pretty good stuff and good stories.
100%. Yeah, it's been great to speak to a number of people who know Roman better than most. And by the time this episode comes out, you will be able to read at least one story, hopefully a couple, on NashvillePredators.com. But had the chance to speak with Shea Weber, who, of course, Roman lived with Shea when he first came into the league. They were one of the best pairings in their day with the Preds. And I love the quote from Shea. And again, all this will be in the story, but just talking about what impresses him most about Roman, or what is something maybe that the average person doesn't appreciate. Everybody knows Roman's offensive capabilities, but Shea said, quote, he defends hard. He's hard in front of the net, and he gives those little cross checks to guys. And then Shea said, I don't know where he got that from, which, of course, if you recall, you've been around for a while watching the Preds, you know that Shea Weber notorious for getting away with a couple extra little cross checks in the corner in front of the net. The battles with Johan Franzen and the playoff series against Detroit come to mind. Playoff series against Anaheim. That's where Shea gets away with those. And Roman learned a thing or two from his former captain. The other thing that I really enjoyed and thought was a great segue into the story was both Weber and our friend Hal Gill, who's now a member of the Preds broadcast team. Gill was actually traded to Nashville during Roman's rookie season. And both Shea and Hal said, we remember him sitting in the locker room. He's just this baby-faced kid drinking his chocolate milk after practice. And Hal was kind of like, I don't even know this kid. Like, what are we going to get here? What is this kid? What is he like? But then he gets on the ice, and both Shea and Hal were like, oh, yeah, there it is. We get it now. So, you can be sitting there drinking your chocolate milk, but if you're an elite world-class defenseman, doesn't matter. You can go out and tear it up. So it's been really fun to get some stories from those guys again. There will be plenty to read in the days and weeks ahead on Preds.com for this milestone, but it's just been so great to get inside the minds of people who have played with Jos, who have coached him, who have managed him, and to see their perspectives on not only what he means on the ice to this team, but off the ice to this franchise and this community. Just the 84th player in NHL history to play 1,000 games with the same team. It does not happen often. This is rarefied air for a guy like Roman Josi. And it's just been, again, so cool to get the perspectives of the people who love him and appreciate him most.
And the NHL went inside with Roman Josi. We got a little glimpse of his personal life. The My World was posted on YouTube following Roman Josi. Max, you sent us the video. I think there was some highlights in there that really stood out to you.
Yeah, each of us has one favorite moment. I would encourage everyone to go watch this 10-minute video, all access with Roman Josi and the Josi family. This was filmed last month. One player from every Olympic team with NHLers got featured, and Josi is the feature for Team Switzerland. It lines up perfectly with his 1000th game, and we get to see his adorable family.
I also love when he was in the locker room. Remind me, what player was standing next to him asking about him going to the Olympics and saying, I think Switzerland's going to win because you're on the team.
That would be Nick Hague.
Nick Hague. All right. So we also know that Nick Hague may or may not be the player who voted that Luke Evangelista has the most punchable face. So small chirper, Nick Hague. But Max, obviously my favorite part had to be little Ivy out feeding the horses and had to take a little snack treat herself.
All right, guys, you want to give him carrots?
Ivy here. Ivy, here's a big one. You want to give him a little one?
Good job, Flat Hand. Good job.
Ow, he tried to eat my finger.
No.
Yeah,
As long
give him
as
the big
you have
one.
a flat hand.
Ivy.
Oh.
So freaking cute. Hey, great job. Open palm, open hand. She listened perfectly. 3-year-old Ivy Josi to her mom. But then she had to take the biggest carrot out of the bag, just down it herself. So cute. Ivy is the star of NHL My World.
100% she is. But let's not forget about Luca, Roman and Ellie's son. And I really love the part. I mean, as you mentioned, Max, filmed last month around Christmas time, big Christmas guy. And I love this at home, just hanging out with some Christmas ornaments and wrestling around with Luca.
Stronger than you.
No, you're not. You gotta eat your broccoli.
This is normal life. What you guys were seeing earlier, like the cute playing with ornaments, that's not normal life. This is more normal. This is what we do.
Gotcha, little boy.
We see these guys on the ice in their uniforms and we know them as players, but it's always just so fantastic to see them as real people and husbands and fathers at home. And I love Ellie in the clip when Roman's wrestling with Luca. She's like, this is normal. This is not what you might see on a normal day-to-day basis. This is the real Roman at home with his kids. And I mean, yeah, you guys have mentioned it, just the behind the scenes look. I think all of us, I think every hockey fan, you can't get enough of that sort of thing. And to see Roman, we know him and love him as a player. And for the three of us, we're lucky enough to get to see him a little bit behind the scenes, but I don't think that any of the three of us have ever been to his home. So to see him in that setting around Ellie and the kids is really special and just great to get a glimpse into that side of life before they all head to Milan for the Olympics.
Yeah. And how much did you love just skating off the ice? The way the video closed out of Roman just saying, I love my life. I feel very lucky. And obviously, he's had an amazing career, and we're lucky to have him here in Nashville and have had the opportunity to watch him play what will be 1,000 games.
It was so good. Everybody who has not seen that video, well, first of all, those of you watching on YouTube just saw like basically half of it, but go watch the whole thing. Search NHL My World Roman Josi on YouTube. Watch the whole series. I just watched the one with Marty Necas and his dog, which is almost as cute. Ivy Josi is cuter than Coco Necas. Sorry, Coco. But watch them all. This is all so good. The NHL has really turned a corner with these type of videos. These are the same video production people who did the No Goals commercial and the Tip 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 commercial and all of that type of stuff. So they've done an awesome job. I think Roman Josi is the best episode. Obviously, we're biased, but game number 1,000, I think, is going to seal the deal for that on Thursday night. And we will come back and give out our Big E Awesome Person of the Week. And this may be our most awesome person yet. That is coming up next here on the Predators official podcast on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Welcome back to the Predators official podcast here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Max Herz from Preds Radio here. Kara Hammer from Preds TV. Brooks Bratten from NashvillePredators.com, your hosts here on Preds YouTube. And at the end of the show every week, we give out the Big E Awesome Person of the Week in memory of our friend Aaron Donick, who we lost this past summer. And this is a surprise edition of the Big E. One of us does not know who the Big E is. Normally, we all confer, but Kara Hammer does not know that the Big E is going to her 3.5-year-old daughter, Remy, for having the best dance moves on Preds TV at the game in Denver last week. Remy stole the show. Not Remy Josi, the horse. Remy Hammer, the incredible little girl, is the Big E Awesome Person of the Week. Kara, congratulations to you and your family.
Feel honored. Remy and I had the best time. Obviously, she's been to games here at Bridgestone Arena, but that was our first road game. So I would like to also give a huge shout out to the staff at Ball Arena who gave her a first game certificate. I mean, they were showering her with little buttons and a light up necklace, and Remy just had oh, there she is. There's our Christmas card. Remy and I just had the best time, and obviously we capped it off with the big Preds win.
Kara, does she usually, and it was a great moment that the camera caught her. I want to know, like, how often during a game is she just living life dancing in the aisles?
I think we'll give a little bit of credit there to the Dippin' Dots that we consumed during the second period. I told Max, we arrived, the whole first period was a lot of like, when are we getting ice cream? When are we getting ice cream? And I was like, well, Ryan O'Reilly's scoring goals, so we're going to wait till the intermission, then we'll get ice cream. So first intermission, we got the ice cream, we ate the Dippin' Dots, and then we peaked. I mean, the third period, we hit that sugar high, we peaked. She was in the aisle, and I was so proud of her because we were in an entire Av section, and Remy was rocking her gold jersey. So she stole the show. I think everybody in our section was like almost cheering for her. Then that AC/DC came on, and there she goes. She's her mama's girl.
Oh, that's awesome. A shout out to Luke Rosenmeyer, aka Luke Rosenberg, director from Pred TV, for having the cameras on at the perfect moment to see Remy having her peak. All right, Brooksy, we got a couple of fan questions about the Preds roster to go over this week.
Yeah, I just want to mention a couple things quickly. So, some conversations, Max, that actually you and I have kind of gone back and forth with some folks on Twitter, X as well. But just wanted to mention a couple things to kind of clarify a couple of items that we've seen over the last few days. So, you may recall that Andreas Engelland was recalled in Denver to essentially serve as the seventh defenseman against the Avalanche, and then he was sent right back. There were a couple of questions saying, hey, Engelland is a guy who requires waivers. Why didn't the Preds have to put him back on waivers to go back to Milwaukee? Just a sense of time, essentially, right? He was recalled on Friday in Denver. He was sent right back to Milwaukee on Saturday. He was here for such a short period of time. He didn't even play a game. Doesn't require waivers at that point. He had cleared at the beginning of the season when he didn't make the team out of camp. He was assigned to Milwaukee, cleared waivers at that point. He was all good. And then comes back up, goes back down again, only here for 24 hours. You got to be up for a certain amount of days, play a certain amount of games before you need to clear waivers again. So simple one there. And then we saw Ozzy Weisblatt return to the lineup on Tuesday against Buffalo. As a result of Weisblatt coming off of injured reserve, the Predators elected to reassign Reed Schaefer, the rookie, who has been on the show, friend of the show now, made a great impact here his first 2 months on the job. But he goes back down to Milwaukee. And Max, you and I were discussing this yesterday on Tuesday on Twitter, just trying to explain kind of the logic and the reasoning. And you brought up a really good point about the Olympics, if you wouldn't mind just touching on that briefly.
Yeah, so the Preds are about to have 3 weeks without a game in February when the Olympics are going on. And you can't wait until the NHL schedule ends before the Olympics and then just send a group of players down to the AHL. If you're in the NHL up until that break, you get your break. This is part of the bargaining agreement. It's part of the waiver rules. So Schaefer had to go back down basically sometime this week in order to play in the AHL all the way through that time. And the Preds consider that to be more pivotal in his development, as long as he's not needed. If there's a roster spot needed in Nashville, another injury, Schaefer will come right back here. Barry Trotz said that on the radio this week. But those 3 weeks of AHL games for Schaefer, they're not necessarily choosing that is better for him than NHL games. It's just that Weisblatt is healthy. Weisblatt, as he has been the entire time for a variety of reasons, is ahead of Schaefer on the depth chart at the same position on the same line. So that's an easy decision for the Preds. Schaefer did not do anything in his play that warranted removal from the NHL lineup, and he will absolutely be back. But that's why that type of decision gets made.
100%. And you'd rather have, you mentioned this too, a guy like Tyson Jost, who served as a healthy scratch on Tuesday against Buffalo. You'd much rather have somebody like Tyson Jost serving as your 13th forward than Reed Schaefer. Tyson Jost, he's a journeyman. He understands his role. He's way more comfortable and easily accessible to be a healthy scratch as opposed to Reed Schaefer, who you obviously want playing down there in Milwaukee. So a myriad of reasons. I know not everybody's going to agree with the decision. We're simply trying to present the facts, and that's kind of the thinking as to why a guy like Schaefer goes down. But as Max said, don't worry, he will be back at some point.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's facts, Brooks. I would just say it's our job as reporters to understand what the team is thinking and what their choices are and be able to verbalize why they made the choices they did. And another thing, like this is almost an intangible part of it, and this is cool. The Milwaukee Admirals are playing their first ever outdoor game on Friday. Like the Preds this weekend, this also may be altered by weather. They're playing in Hastings, Minnesota at the Hockey Day in Minnesota rink against the Iowa Wild, and the wind chill is supposed to be negative 35 Fahrenheit. So we will see if that happens, but I think Reed Schaefer has some long johns waiting for him in Milwaukee.
He's from Edmonton. He can handle it.
Yeah, he's from Canada. It's never too cold for ice cream.
Never too cold for ice cream. You know who's not getting sent down, though, is Remy.
No.
She is here to stay, and she's our Big E Awesome Person of the Week.
Love
Thanks
it.
to our whole team from the POP, Nate Baker, Justina Quagliata, and the whole crew for making this fun for us here on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, you missed some very cute Roman Josi kids content this week. That's for sure. We'll be back next week when the Preds head northeast to play the Bruins, Devils, and Islanders in the final week of January. Max Herz, Brooks Bratten, and Kara Hammer signing off. This is the POP on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Stay warm.